Somewhere beyond the barbed wire and the pine-lined trails of Springville, Tennessee, there's a ranch where freedom rides on horseback and the wind hums like an old outlaw tune. This isn't just a home. It's Hank Williams Jr.'s living legend. Today, we open the gate to his kingdom of rifles, rivers, and rebellion, and step inside the world of a man who carved his peace with fire. Before the beard, the rifle, and the gravel in his voice, he was just a boy named Randall Hank Williams, born in Shreveport, Louisiana, but raised in the long shadow of a legend who never got to grow old. How do you become your own man when the world only wants you to be someone else? His father, Hank Williams I, wasn't just a country music icon. He was a ghost in every jukebox, a tragedy immortalized in 3 chords and the truth. He died at 29 and left behind a name too big, too heavy, and far too sacred. And yet, that name was passed down like a torch and a burden. By 8 years old, little Hank Jr. was already on stage. His feet barely touched the floor, but his voice carried echoes of heartbreak from a man he barely remembered. Every night he sang his father's songs to crowds who didn't want a son. They wanted a resurrection. Was it admiration? Or expectation dressed up as applause? As the years passed, the spotlight got brighter, but the man behind it dimmed. In the 1960s, Hank Jr. was the polished product of Nashville. The suits were tailored. The shows were rehearsed. The image? Spotless. But behind the stage curtain, the boy was unraveling. He didn't want to be a museum piece. He wanted to live. And so, in the early 1970s, he did the unthinkable. He rebelled. The clean-cut image gave way to long hair, outlaw boots, and a guitar turned up too loud for Nashville's comfort. He jammed with Toy Caldwell of the Marshall Tucker Band. He shared beer and verses with Waylon Jennings. He wasn't trying to be Hank Sr. anymore. He was chasing something raw, something real, something that could only be found in the wild places of the soul. But then, August 1975, Ajax Peak, Montana. He wasn't touring. He wasn't recording. He was hiking, searching, trying to outrun his own shadow. And then it happened. A misstep. A fall. Nearly 500 feet down a rocky ravine. Snow. Ice. Skull shattered. Face broken. For weeks, he hung between life and death. For months, he disappeared from the world. And when he re-emerged, he was changed. Not just in flesh, but in fire. Surgeries gave him back his face. But the scars? He wore them like a second skin. He grew a beard. Dark glasses shielded his eyes. A wide-brimmed cowboy hat dipped low over the truth. This wasn't Hank Jr., the imitator, anymore. This was the survivor, the fighter, the man who came down that mountain different. When he returned to music, he brought with him thunder. Whiskey bent and hellbound. Family tradition. A country boy can survive. These weren't just songs. They were declarations of independence, of rebellion, of finally stepping out of the grave of a father and into the boots of a legend forged by fire. He didn't ask for permission. He didn't wait for Nashville to catch up. He roared down the highway of Southern rock, outlaw grit, and unapologetic truth. And when Monday Night Football called in 1989, that was the final nail in the coffin of doubt. Because now, Hank Williams Jr. wasn't just an outlaw. He was America's soundtrack on a Monday night. But even rebels need a place to rest their bones. And when the stage lights dimmed and the guitars quieted down, where did Hank go? Not to the city, not to the crowd, but to the land, where boots hit hickory floors, rifles hang above stone fireplaces, and the scent of freedom rides in on the wind. ranch in Tennessee. There's a bend in the back roads of Springville, Tennessee, where the asphalt fades into gravel and gravel melts into grass. And just when the landscape starts to whisper with the hush of wind through oaks, it appears. A plantation-style mansion, not flashy, not gilded, but proud, like the man who calls it home. This is Hank Williams Jr.'s southern stronghold. Tennessee is his root. It's not just a house, it's a statement. 11,566 square feet of country pride, standing firm on nearly 34 acres of rolling land. But don't mistake square footage for vanity. This place was built for living, not for show. The driveway meanders through a tunnel of trees, like a southern hymn leading to a sacred refrain. Wildflowers peek out from thickets. Old fencing runs alongside patches of tall grass. And then, the columns appear. White, tall, unshaken. The facade stretches wide, double porches hugging the front like outstretched arms. Windows glimmer beneath the Tennessee sun, not with polish, but with presence. Step inside, and the tone shifts. There's warmth, weight, the kind of masculinity that doesn't announce itself, but exists in every creak of the floorboards. The wood beneath your boots, cherry-stained hickory, worn and weathered in the best way. The cabinetry in the kitchen, custom cherry wood, each panel shaped like a verse in one of his songs. The doors, solid oak, thick, heavy, no nonsense. And the beams above, they're not decor, they're history. Salvaged 200-year-old Douglas firs, brought back to life and now holding up the great room like silent giants. But ask anyone who's been inside what stopped them in their tracks. And they'll tell you, it was the gym. Tucked inside the property is a 6,000-square-foot private fitness space. Not for selfies, not for status. It's a place of discipline, of sweat and silence. It's where Hank clears his mind, not just his body, where the outside world is pushed away by the clink of iron and the hum of solitude. Walk out back, and the home softens. A screened-in porch wraps around the structure like an old friend, the kind that listens more than it talks. This is where cigars are lit, where stories unwind, where Hank watches thunderstorms roll in with a glass of whiskey in hand and a 1,000-yard stare toward the horizon. Just beyond the porch is a saltwater pool, smooth, shimmering, and still. It's not about aesthetics. It's about relief. From the heat, from the world, from everything. And further back, the wild begins. There's a 2-acre duck pond where birds gather like Sunday congregants. A backup generator system, because this place doesn't wait on the grid. A full workshop, tools, gear, space for fixing, tinkering, being. The property hums with life. Deer graze along the tree line. Birds roost in the canopy. And often, Hank is just there, walking the perimeter with his shotgun, a loyal dog, and no particular destination. Because sometimes, you don't need to go anywhere. You just need to be. Every inch of this land tells a story. A porch chair that's seen decades of sunsets. A tree stump still bearing the mark of an axe. Boot prints pressed into dew-covered soil. Evidence that the man of the house doesn't just own the land, he walks it. This isn't the kind of luxury that screams. It's the kind that listens, that watches over you while you heal, that welcomes silence as a companion, not a threat. In a world that moves too fast, Hank's Tennessee ranch dares to be still. But don't let the quiet fool you. There's thunder in these beams, rebellion in the floorboards, the kind of grounded strength you only earn after walking through fire and choosing not to run. But while Tennessee gave him tradition, Another place, colder, wilder, and carved in mountain stone, gave him something else, a chance to be reborn. Next, we journey north to Montana, where near death turned into new life, and a wounded outlaw built the most peaceful fortress of all. Retreat in Montana. How do you return to the mountain that almost took your life, and dare to call it home? Most men would have stayed away, but Hank Williams Jr. isn't most men. After that near-fatal fall on Ajax Peak in 1975, the one that shattered his skull and nearly silenced his music forever, he could have left Montana behind, erased it from memory, let the jagged rock and cold wind remain just a chapter of trauma. But Hank came back, not in fear, not in mourning. He came back to claim it. Because sometimes healing doesn't happen far from the wound. Sometimes it happens right on top of it. Nestled along the banks of a winding river, hidden beneath pine and hardwood canopies, sits Hank's Montana retreat. It doesn't rise with arrogance. It settles into the land, like it grew there. From a distance, it looks like a dream pulled from a dusty western. A timber lodge built of thick cypress logs, their grains dark with rain and memory. The front porch faces east, where the sun creeps in every morning across the valley. It's not a house that tries to impress. It simply belongs. Step inside, and the hush of the forest follows you. A towering stone fireplace commands the great room, not decorative but lived in. Its hearth has warmed everything from frost-bitten boots to late-night confessions. The cathedral ceiling stretches upward, held by beams that creak with age and truth. Pine floors run beneath your feet, worn smooth by years of walking, pacing, dancing, and remembering. The lodge offers 4,100 square feet of solitude. But it feels bigger, because the space isn't just physical, it's emotional. 3 bedrooms line the hallway, each with windows that open to silence. No city horns, no tour buses, just the sound of wind through pine needles and the quiet breath of the river below. The master suite sits at the heart, facing the water. This is where Hank sits, guitar in hand, curtains wide open, letting the Montana light pour across wood panel walls like a blessing. It's more than a bedroom. It's a sanctuary. A place where pain once screamed and now whispers. The kitchen hums with contrast. Stainless steel appliances gleam next to hand-carved cabinets and thick stone countertops. It's a space where pots of chili have simmered while jam sessions unfolded in the next room, where lyrics were scribbled between sips of black coffee and the sizzle of bacon. Across from the kitchen, a dining room glows with warmth. A second fireplace lives here. And if those walls could talk, they'd tell you stories of Thanksgiving dinners, fiddle songs, and boots kicked off beneath the table as laughter bounced off timber beams. Above it all, a loft. Not for entertaining, for escaping, for the kind of solitude only a man with scars can truly understand. But what makes this place special isn't inside. It's what waits beyond the walls. Step out, and you're in another world. 20 acres of fenced pasture, open, untouched, honest. Barns hum with the scent of hay and horses. A greenhouse grows tomatoes in spring, cucumbers in summer, and peace year-round. And in the distance, the river. A full 1.2 miles of private access to one of Montana's most pristine waterways. Most come here for fly fishing. Hank came here for forgiveness. Because this is the same river that ran beneath him after the fall, the same sky, the same mountain wind. Only now, they welcome him. There's something poetic about it. The place that tried to end him now sustains him. He walks along its banks with a worn flannel, a thermos in hand, and a rifle slung across his shoulder. Not to hunt, to feel, to remember, to exist. Because sometimes survival isn't loud, it's quiet, deliberate. sacred. Montana isn't where he lives full-time, but it's where his soul returns to exhale. Some people build homes with blueprints and bricks. Hank built this one with pain, patience, and poetry. But as the land healed him, the music sustained him. And with each note, each lyric, each Monday night anthem, came a fortune. Up next, we trace the money trail. Not for numbers, but for what they mean to a man who earned every cent with scars, sweat, and steel string rebellion. You don't earn $45 million by being easy to define. Not in Nashville. Not with a name like Hank Williams Jr. This wasn't inherited wealth. It wasn't handed down with the guitar case and the famous surname. This was fought for, bled for, rewritten line by line, show by show, year by year. He didn't want to be worshipped. He wanted to be free. And when the music quieted and the stage faded to black, he did something most rock stars forget to do. He gave back. Let's step into the part of Hank's story few talk about. The silent generosity of a rebel soul. Philanthropy. Not every rebel needs a rooftop to shout from. Some just open their wallet, their heart, and their door, without ever asking for a thank you. That's how Hank Williams Jr. gives. No press releases, no glossy campaigns, no photo ops with oversized donation checks. Because for Hank, charity isn't performance. It's remembrance. It's instinct. And sometimes, it's grief. In 2020, tragedy hit harder than any fall from a mountaintop. His daughter, Catherine Williams Dunning, just 27 years old, was taken in a sudden car crash. A young mother, a light in his life, gone in an instant. Hank didn't speak much publicly, didn't flood social media with tributes. Instead, he acted, quietly, powerfully, with purpose. In her memory, he directed his energy and wealth into supporting causes focused on youth safety, mental health, and family wellness. Not for attention, for healing, for legacy. But Hank's giving didn't start there. Long before heartbreak carved deeper meaning into his philanthropy, he had already begun seeding good across the South. Rural schools received music education grants, quietly funded by the man who once found his own salvation in a six-string. Old gymnasiums were filled with new instruments, guitars, drum kits, banjos. Kids who had never seen a real fiddle got to hold one, because Hank never forgot what music gave him. And when natural disasters ripped through southern towns, hurricanes, tornadoes, floods, it wasn't FEMA that showed up first. It was Hank. His team sent generators, food trucks, blankets, and supplies long before the camera crews arrived. No headlines, no red carpets, just help. He's also been a steadfast supporter of American veterans, men and women who, like Hank, carry their battles inside. Whether it's funding therapy programs, performing benefit concerts, or simply showing up at veterans' gatherings, Hank has never turned his back on those who know what it means to fight and to survive. And then there's the music scene itself, specifically Nashville's up-and-comers, drowning in dreams and debt. Close friends say Hank has been known to slide unsigned musicians quiet checks. No signatures, no contracts, just support, because once upon a time, someone believed in him. And now, he's returning that belief. You see, for all the fire in his lyrics, there's tenderness in his choices. He gives not to impress, but because he knows the value of second chances, of unseen kindness, of showing up when it matters. A man who's been through pain doesn't always speak it, but he knows how to see it in others, and to answer it. Because to Hank Williams Jr., the truest kind of legacy isn't written in gold or platinum. It's written in impact. And yet, the most intimate part of Hank's story isn't the music, the money, or the giving. It's the life he lives when no one's watching, and now simply wants to live in peace. Personal life. Behind every rebel anthem, behind every million-dollar ranch and defiant lyric, there's always a man, not a symbol, not a legacy. A man, flawed, faithful, and still searching for something quiet in a world that never stopped asking him to be loud. For Hank Williams Jr., family was never a prop in the background. It was the melody beneath the mayhem. He has 5 children, and 4 still living, each one carrying a different note in the long ballad of the Williams name. Holly Williams, a singer-songwriter with a heart like a handwritten letter, pours her soul into ballads that feel like soft prayers. She doesn't shout, she reflects. Her voice doesn't echo her father's, it answers it, gently. Hillary Williams, too, has known struggle. A horrific car crash in 2006 nearly ended her life. But after months of recovery, she returned not just stronger, but softer. Her music, her memoirs, her message, all shaped by pain and persistence. Samuel Williams, the youngest, remains the quiet observer. His voice, strikingly reminiscent of his grandfather, holds a modern tenderness. There's something thoughtful in his delivery, as if every note is weighed before it's sung. And then there's Hank III. Born Shelton Hank Williams, known to the world as a whirlwind of country, punk, and pure chaos. Hank III didn't just rebel against the industry, he carved his own bloody trail through it. Their relationship? Complicated, full of love, fire, distance, and the unspoken understanding that some wounds aren't meant to be fixed, only respected. But that's the Williams way. They don't wear emotion on their sleeves. They bleed it into the music. And yet, no amount of music could prepare Hank for what came in 2020. His daughter, Catherine Williams Dunning, vibrant and only 27, was killed in a tragic car accident. She was a young mother, a joy giver, a grounding force in his life. And when she left, something inside Hank shifted. Again. There were no press statements, no grand tributes, just stillness. Friends say he retreated to the Montana ranch deeper than ever before, fishing before the sun rose, riding horses at dawn, sitting alone by the fireplace, an old record playing softly in the background. Sometimes his own, sometimes his father's, sometimes hers. Because grief doesn't always scream. Sometimes it just breathes. And sometimes that's all you can do. But Hank never ran from pain. He's a man who lives with it, learns from it, lets it shape him. These days, his world moves slower, deliberately. Music still lives in him, but it's no longer for the crowds. It's for the trees, for the wind, for the silence. Some evenings, he'll pour a whiskey, sit on that wraparound porch in Tennessee, and watch the ducks gather like an old congregation. No agenda, no audience, just peace, real peace, the kind that can't be bought, the kind you only find after you've lost things you can never replace. He doesn't chase hits, he doesn't chase headlines, he doesn't chase anything, because Hank Williams Jr. has already built his kingdom, and now he just wants to live in it. Not every legend needs a throne. Some just need a river, a rifle, a worn guitar, and a place to finally exhale. But what if this story stirred something in you? What if somewhere between the Montana pines and Tennessee porches, you felt the echo of a truth that doesn't need a microphone? Then don't scroll on just yet, because next comes the quiet ask. If this story stirred something in you, if you felt the breeze through Hank's pines or heard the stillness echo through those Tennessee nights, then don't just let it pass. Like this video, share it with someone who believes in second chances and subscribe for more stories that go beyond the fame, into the homes, the hearts, and the truths that legends are built on.